On August 10, 1628, the most expensive warship ever built in Swedish history sailed exactly 1,300 meters before sinking to the bottom of Stockholm harbor. In front of thousands of witnesses. On its maiden voyage. And it took 30 to 50 people down with it on a day that was supposed to be a national triumph. You were never taught why it sank. You were never told who knew it would sink. And you were almost certainly never told that the man responsible walked away completely free. This is the story of the Vasa. King Gustav II Adolf of Sweden was not a patient man. In the 1620s, Sweden was fighting wars on multiple fronts, against Poland, against Denmark, against Russia. Gustav needed a flagship, not just any ship, a symbol, something that would make every enemy navy in the Baltic look at Sweden and feel fear in their chest. So he commissioned the Vasa. And he personally interfered with its design. Master shipwright Henrik Heibertsson began building the Vasa in 1625. The original plans called for a single gun deck. Then the king sent word from the front. He wanted 2 gun decks. 64 bronze cannons, more than any Swedish warship had ever carried. Heibertsson reportedly raised concerns. The ship was already taking shape. Changing the design mid-build to accommodate a second gun deck meant adding enormous weight high above the waterline. In ship design, that is catastrophic. The higher your weight sits, the easier it is to tip the entire vessel over. Heibertsson died in 1627, 1 year before the launch. He never had to watch what happened next. But his successor, Hein Jacobsen, absolutely did. Before the Vasa ever left the harbor, a stability test was conducted. A naval captain named Sofrine Hansen ordered 30 men to run back and forth across the upper deck. The rolling became so violent after just 3 passes that the test was abandoned. Everyone present understood what it meant. The ship was dangerously top-heavy. Nobody stopped the launch. Why not? Because the king wanted his ship. Gustav II Adolf was still at war in Poland. He had been writing increasingly impatient letters demanding the Vasa be deployed immediately. Nobody in Stockholm wanted to be the man who wrote back to tell him his flagship was a death trap. So on August 10, 1628, the Vasa was launched before a crowd of dignitaries, foreign ambassadors, and ordinary Stockholm citizens who had no idea they were about to watch a catastrophe unfold in real time. The ship left the dock. Sailors climbed the rigging. Cannons were fired in salute. The crowd cheered. Then a gust of wind hit. The Vasa tilted. Water began pouring through the open cannon ports on the lower gun deck, ports that were barely a meter above the waterline because of all that extra weight above. Within minutes, the Vasa was taking on water faster than anything could be done. She heeled to her side and went under. 1,300 meters from where she started. If this surprised you, subscribe now. We cover the history they decided you didn't need to know. Here is the part that almost no one tells you. What happened in the immediate aftermath was not a rescue operation. It was a cover-up attempt dressed as an inquiry. A formal investigation was launched almost immediately. The question before the court was simple. Who was responsible? The answers were extraordinary. Everyone pointed at everyone else. The surviving officers blamed the crew for not closing the cannon ports in time. The builders claimed the design was sound. The admiral of the Swedish Navy, Claes Fleming, was asked directly why the stability test had shown such alarming results and why the launch had proceeded anyway. His answer? The king had ordered it. And that was essentially the end of the inquiry. Nobody was convicted. Nobody was executed. Nobody was even formally punished. Because the chain of blame led directly to the throne, and in 1628 Sweden, you did not put a king on trial. 30 to 50 people died that day. The exact number was never officially confirmed. Some were trapped below decks. Some drowned in the harbor. A few were actually saved by the foreign ambassadors' longboats, which were the closest vessels to the scene. The irony being that the people who came to witness Sweden's naval glory ended up pulling Swedish sailors out of the water. The Vasa sat on the bottom of Stockholm harbor for 333 years. Then in 1956, a Swedish marine archaeologist named Anders Franzén found her. He had been searching for years, guided by historical records and his own obsession. In 1961, the Vasa was raised to the surface almost entirely intact. The cold, low-salinity water of the Baltic had preserved her in a way that warmer seas never could have. 95% of her original hull was intact. Over 40,000 artifacts were recovered. Tools, coins, clothing, and the skeletal remains of at least 15 crew members were found on board. She is now the centerpiece of the Vasa Museum in Stockholm, which opened in 1990. It is the most visited museum in all of Scandinavia. Every year, over 1 million people walk around a warship that represents one of the most spectacular management failures in military history. And here is what makes the Vasa more than just an interesting wreck. She is a document, a physical record of what happens when political pressure overrides expert knowledge. When someone in power is too proud to be told no. When everyone in a chain of command knows something is wrong and nobody says it loudly enough to matter. Hybertson probably knew. Hansen absolutely knew after that stability test. The admiral knew. And the ship sank anyway, because the system punished honesty more than it punished failure. We like to think that kind of decision-making belongs to the past. The Vasa suggests otherwise. She is still there in Stockholm, tilted slightly on her display cradle, her 2 gun decks stacked up just the way the king insisted. A warship that never fired a shot in battle. A warning that was ignored for nearly 4 centuries and is still being ignored today. If this story hit differently than what they taught you in school, subscribe. We go this deep every single time.